In the previous video, I showed you how one person can initialize the GitHub repository with initial project code. In this video, I'm going to show you how the other team members can clone that repository, create branches, and begin working. So first step is I'm on the original project repository here. So I'm going to go ahead and close that project. And then I'm also going to go back to git bash, and I'm going to cd up out of my repos folder. So now I'm in downloads, and I'm going to make a new directory called repos2 because now I'm the second person who's working on the project. So I'm going to cd into repos2, and I'm going to git clone https github.com pccis234a, and then the repository name. And I've just cloned the repository with the initial code in it. So I want to actually open this project repository up in IntelliJ. So I'm going to open or import. And I'm going to go to my repositories 2 folder and open demo UI here. Now this won't quite work as is. So if I go ahead and I open the source folder and I go to main and I right click, I don't get any kind of run or anything here. And that's because all of the project settings that IntelliJ uses were in that idea folder that isn't part of the repository. See, I just got a new idea folder here with the new workspace.xml, but it doesn't know the project settings that it needs to run the project. So I have to manually set that up once every time I clone a repository from scratch. So to do that, I'm going to go to the File menu, Project Structure. First thing I need to do is select Project SDK and Language Level. Hopefully you know from when your team talked about standards what version of Java you should be using and what version of the language level you should be using. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use 14, which is the latest version, and I'm going to set my language level to 8, just because. And then this project compiler output, you will probably need to set that as well. But hopefully you'll have an out folder here because the person who set the folder up should have put a .gitkeep in there, and the .gitignore should keep this out folder when you clone. So make sure the out is selected here. Then go to modules. Make sure that source, click on source, make sure that source is on. So SRC should be blue, and it is here. And then on dependencies, go ahead and hit this plus sign here, jars or directories, and then open your demo UI folder and click on lib to select it. So this is the path that I want to add for my lib folders, and hit OK. And it should go ahead and add this folder here. So if you've done all of that correctly, you should be able to say OK here. And it will go and it will scan through the project. And now I can right click and run main. Okay, so still works. That's good. Let's look at the top-rated crime TV series, Breaking Bad, The Wire, Sopranos. And then I'm going to go ahead and close that. So this is all working, and all of these changes that I just made were to parts of the project that are ignored in the repository. So nothing that I did just now should have caused any change. And if I do a git status, I see that, oh, I'm in the wrong place. So let me cd to demo UI and then do a git status. Yeah, so nothing I changed is actually tracked as part of the repository, so that's a good thing. Um, but you'll notice that I'm on the master branch right now. And what I want to do for Sprint 1 development is I want to have my own branch to work on so that the changes I make don't break anybody else's code. So there's going to be a master branch, but I'm not going to change the code on the master branch, and nobody on my team is going to do that until the end of the sprint when we want to merge our code together. So first thing I want to do is do git branch -a, and that lists all of the branches in the repository. So right now, basically, I just have a master branch. That star means this is the one I'm on right now. And head is just basically an alias for the master branch. And then what I want to do is make a new branch by saying git branch, and then I'm going to put the name of the story I'm working on. So let's say I'm working on the top shows story. So let's do top shows. So I've created a branch, and if I do git branch -a again, you'll see that now there's a top shows branch, but I'm still on the master branch. To switch over to top shows, I do git checkout top shows. And since this is a new branch, all of the code is the same as the master branch. But if I do git branch -a again, you'll see I'm on top shows branch. And that will actually be reflected here as well if there were any differences in the source code. There aren't yet. So let's do a little development. One of the things that I wanted to change about the GUI was that I just have this number box here. Let me go ahead and resize some stuff. So this number box, I don't have any kind of label here, so I want to go ahead and add a label. And I'm just going to drop that right in here. And then for the horizontal alignment, I'm going to right align that so it's up against here. And actually, let me go ahead and edit this. I don't want to change the name. I do want to change the font. So let's go ahead and click on that. And let's go ahead and make it a 14 point. So it's a little bigger. And then let's change the text. So this is going to be the min votes : and let's go ahead and run this for a second. Okay, so I want this actually to be right over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another JPanel and put both of those things inside of the JPanel. So first let's put a JPanel here, and then let's move min votes over to here, and let's move this box over to here. And then we can put a little spacer here. And then we can run it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then the other thing I wanted to change is when you drop down to 0 here in min votes, it actually takes a while because it's got to search through a lot of stuff. So what I want to do is I want to change the code so that it always uses at least 100 votes. So 100 is the smallest min. And so that's in that text box change listener that causes the show tables method to get called. So let's see where that is. So show shows is right here. And then what I'm going to do here is this min shows. I'm going to say if min shows is less than 100, min shows is equal to 100. Yeah, so I actually need to do that before this line here. Okay, still took a little while, but at least it's working. Maybe I'll bump that up to 1,000 later. So let's do that one more. So if it's less than 1,000, we'll make it 1,000. Okay, cool. So that's pretty usable. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. And then let's look at what changed. So I changed the form and the Java for main UI. Nothing else has changed. And I'm still on my branch. So I'm still on top shows. So I'm going to git add dot git commit dash m minor GUI improvements. And then git push. Now this is going to cause an error when I try to git push. So the error is that I'm working on a local branch in my local repository and I'm trying to push to the remote repository on GitHub, but it doesn't have a branch on the GitHub repository to push to. So in order to do that, the first time I need to use the set upstream origin to create a branch on the remote repository. So git push set upstream, and there's a shorthand for that, which is -u, does the same thing. Origin is referring to the remote repository, and then top shows is a new branch to create on the remote repository. Okay, so now if I go back to the GitHub repository, you'll see under branch, actually I have to hit reload. You'll see under branch, here's the master branch, but there's also a top shows branch. And if I go to, for example, let's go source UI main UI.java. So here's the code in top shows. And if I go over to this branch and select master, you'll see that the code in master is the same as it was before. So it didn't get that change that I just made. And if I go back to here, so in my IntelliJ, it's showing that change I made. If I go back to GitHub and do git checkout master, that switches me over to the master branch. And if I go back to IntelliJ, you see those changes go away. And if I go back to my top shows branch, here it is with the change again. So that's basically all you need to know about working with branches for now. How to switch from the master branch to your branch, how to commit changes to your branch and push them to the remote repository, and how to switch back to the master branch. And then later on, towards the end of Sprint 1, we'll look at actually merging everybody's branches together.